Hello and welcome to Darkness Descending Presents Guess That Build. Today we have a Protoss versus Protoss game for you, and I think it'll be, or rather, I think it is a relatively straightforward guessing version, but in any case we're in Xel'Naga Caverns, which as you know is a relatively small map, so it's very conducive for your rushes and what other players might consider cheese, but what I consider just lots of fun. So I went with a very standard 9 probe to pylon, and then scout with that probe. So we're going to follow this probe and see what he's got. So it's imperative in a small map like this against a Protoss player or a Zerg player to scout relatively early, so that you can react if they're doing something funky, should we say. So we will be getting to his base relatively soon. As you can see, I put a lot of scouting marks there. Alright, so we see there's no pylon, there's no gas. We do have a decent amount of mineral gatherers, but not a whole lot. And there's no pylon here at all. So it's time. That's all you get. So at this point, for me, because it's Protoss and because there's no pylon on the base, this is screaming some sort of rush. So really the only options you have in terms of guessing is it a cannon rush or is it a gateway rush? Cannon rush typically, and here's why I paused it here. Cannon rushes typically will either start over here or over here. I have not scouted this yet purposefully so that you can so that you get to make your guess. But I've found if the player's relatively good, if you find a cannon rush early enough, it's essentially the end of the game. But in any case, so at this point I did see that there was nothing in his base. I sent out a probe to scout this edge. It's made it to here. It hasn't scouted the rest of this edge, so we will get to see is this a cannon rush or is this a gateway rush. Well, I hope you've made your guess, and here we go. So we see there's no cannons here. He's clearly not going to be doing some sort of, there's nothing else he could be doing at this point but proxy. So dropping an extra gateway will be helpful because he probably has 2 gateways. Usually the only other place they'll do this is right over here. So this is where this probe is going to go to scout out, and there we have it. So we have the double gateway. I have my gateway. It's out a little bit slower than his, but I have the home field advantage, of course. So I put down another factory, start chrono boosting out those zealots. Obviously, I don't have as many chrono boosts as he will have because he's been saving those chrono boosts most likely. But I do, of course, have a better economy. So dropping that forge will allow me to get those zealots out. You see, he rallied past me and actually took some damage when he didn't really have to. But I'm going to bring up a probe to help with the damage, but he runs away entirely. What I'm going to do now, of course, is drop down a cannon. So what this cannon is going to do is it's really going to make it so that it would be very difficult for him to push past. Because even just a couple of zealots with a cannon backup is just going to be damn near impossible for him to do anything with. And at this point I'm really just kind of stalling. Like there's nothing else to do but stall. If I can stall long enough, that cannon will come out and he just will not be able to get past me. So we have the cannon. I feel relatively secure now, and that's the end of Guess That Build. So when you see no pylon in a Protoss's base, you better be ready for a very quick rush by that player. Usually, and really there's only 2 options. It's either going to be cannons or it's going to be gateways. If it's cannons, you want to find it and you want to kill it as fast as you can with probes if you have to. It's the most important thing against a cannon rush, of course, is to kill the probe. You kill that probe, he can't advance anymore, and you will have enough time, because he'll have to send down another probe to get a force large enough to take care of the cannons. If he's going with a gateway push, what you need to do is you can either make a cannon or make additional gateways so that you can match the production. If the other Protoss player comes in, and you only have 2 zealots to their 3, you need to make use of your probes. Even if you lose a couple probes, it's still worthwhile, because if you can kill off their zealots and have 1 or 2 zealots left behind of your own, you will be able to make your own massive zealot army and take out the proxy, which isn't a death blow, but it's certainly they would have to have put a large investment into that attack, and getting rid of that that proxy will of course slow them down significantly. So in any case, once again, the importance of scouting and recognizing what scouting means. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll give you the rest of the game. A lot faster, of course. So here we go. So for me, I'm just pumping out some zealots. He's got a couple zealots, but I'll pull him back into the cannons. And then we're going to go right ahead and push into him. I have 5 to his 4, so he's really not in a very good position. I kill off practically all he has. And he's basically given up on this at this point. He's not making anything additional. I make a couple more zealots, they come down, and we're going to finish this off quite easily. What I don't know is what's going on up here. Try to drop a pylon in a off edge, so that once my warp gates are out, I have a place to warp into. Same thing here. Warp gate is researching, but it's not quite there yet. I go up, I see that he is making void rays, and this is actually another quick thing to mention. When a Protoss does some sort of crazy proxy play, the vast majority of the time, they are going to get void rays to follow that up. So it behooves you to start making stalkers. Either that or Dark Templar. But in my case, I had made that cannon. I wasn't too worried about Dark Templar. What I was worried about is void rays, which is why, as you see, I'm making stalkers. As long as they don't, the other player doesn't get to a large enough number of void rays, stalkers will beat them quite easily. Especially if you get blink tech, which you can hardly see it here, but I am making that building. Anyway, back to the action. So he does already have warp gates, so he can start warping in Zealot's zone. I'm doing a little bit of damage, killing a couple probes, but not really crushing him. And now I'm just making stalkers as fast as I can. Warp gates are out, 4 gateways are almost up, stalkers are building, chrono boosting out the blink tech. I have a damage upgrade, so now these stalkers can put 15 against void rays. You see those void rays? I have the blink tech, able to push them back really easily. You see that those zealots come in, blinking them back, and those zealots just really can't do anything, and that's the end of the game. As always, if you like these videos, please subscribe and rate, and we'll see you next time on Guess That Build.